Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the final qualifying round. This is the fourth round of the Underground Racing League. And as you can see, I'm very excited tonight because we've got two guests with us, two co-commentators. Of course, we've got the usual regular host, Kevin O'Pelley from NZ Bro down there in New Zealand. How are you this evening or this morning, Kevin?
This morning doing great. She's a lot better weather than the last few months that we've had of racing. So we're finally hitting summer down under, which is great. So sitting in a nice balmy 20 degrees in the pain cave. So I might need to upgrade my fans, I'm thinking, in the next couple of weeks.
You already know how jealous I am of that because I'm sat here with the, I've just had my hat on, as you're well aware, and I'm sat here with a heater. So you're lucky man. But the tables will turn again in another half year, no doubt. And the other guest this evening, Richie Sheeran, Racing Without Borders Esports from Northern Ireland. I think, Richie, if I'm right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Derry, Northern Ireland, yeah, so thanks for having me on. Yeah, we're getting the opposite. We got our first kick of winter today, so hit -1 frost, snow in the hills, so yeah, not as nice as the 20 degree that I would love to be in, so but jealous there for sure.
You're lucky tonight because, of course, the one of the teams in Group 1 that we're going to be looking at is your team, of course, Racing Without Borders, and I think they're battling it out for fourth spot this evening and a potential qualification for your guys. They've just got to beat out Electric Spirit, I think.
Yeah, that's it, and that's the it's been drubbing under the guys, and they're well up for it this evening. So yeah, we've got a good group of 5 there that's going to push it the entire way, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to be in. I could see some of your team chat going on because I know I do sneak into your Facebook chat from now and again, and there was some interesting chat about bike choice and team selection and all sorts. But I tell you what, the race has started. We're half a kilometre in, so let's jump straight over to the play and see where we are. Of course, this evening we are on the Mech Islands Loop. And I said there, Richie, there was plenty of chat going on. And this course, of course, Richie, is half dirt and half road. So maybe you want to give us a bit of insight on the thinking of your team's bike selection this evening.
Yeah, it's been going back and forward. It's kind of, do we go Tron because we know the finish is on paved, but we know kind of the little kicker that's on this lap or in this map is all dirt. So yeah, it's just really a tough one. We've seen kind of some of the data that's coming from the likes of Zwift Insider where you can get maybe a 6 or 7 second gap with the likes of a gravel bike, but that's very quickly taken back from me once you get onto those pavement sections. So it's a really tough one, and I'm sure we'll see very, very soon what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. As I'm looking around here, I think most are on Tron bike, but I have spotted a few gravel bikes with the likes of BL13. So it looks like some of BL13 here. Of course, they're sitting third overall in this particular division at the moment. They look like they've gone for a bit of a mixed bag here in terms of the bike choice. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. As I said, this is 50% dirt, 50% road. Kevin, your team, NZ Bro, they're in Group 2. How are those guys looking for qualification?
Yeah, I think we've got the 4 guys today. So Ironman New Zealand's on, which has obviously taken a few of the crew away. So there's a lot of events sort of happening now, which makes it a wee bit of a struggle for the guys. But yeah, hopefully the 4 guys can go really well today and hopefully pick up a few of the points that they sort of need so we can make it into that final.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who are new to the Underground League, we've got 4 qualifying races that have been taking place over the last 4 months. And essentially, it's the top 3 teams from those divisions, or from those 2 groups who qualify. However, if one of those 3 who are in the top of the division haven't completed a minimum of 3 races with the 5 riders required, then it may be that we take a 4th team also from one of the other groups. So plenty to play for this evening. Tonight's teams that we're looking at here, of course, we've got Electric Spirit, Racing Without Borders, always said, BL13. We've got Next tonight, a little bit short on riders. I think they've just got 2 riders in, but I think Next are pretty safe to qualify for the final, which incidentally is next Friday the 16th at 6:30 p.m. And then we've got the French-Belgium team, the Fodra RT, or the FRT, I'm going to call them for short, because I think, Kevin, you and I have struggled over the last couple of weeks to understand exactly how we pronounce that name.
Exactly. It was going to be called Team Number 3, possibly, if we couldn't get it in a few weeks.
Absolutely. And what we're seeing here... Yeah, go on.
Our favourite man, Michael Gamst, is off the front there again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few riders, as we know here. It'd be interesting to see what Richie thinks. But Michael Gamst is one of those riders who's pushing on, and he's also on the gravel bike. But again, we've gone straight back onto the road here. So there's 2 kilometres, just over 2 kilometres on the road before we get back to the dirt. But as I said, it is pretty 50-50. Any tactics that you want to let us in on at this point, Richie, of your team? Are they going all out attack, or are they going to sit in and wait for the sprint?
I think there's going to be a couple of different tactics thrown. So obviously our main focus tonight is just being ahead of Electric Spirit. So I think there'll be a lot of covering of wheels there. But then also kind of we've got some good sprinters in the team. So yeah, it could come to the bunch sprint at the end. But we've seen kind of over the series that it tends to get away. A couple of guys get away and kind of take the points. But one of the things you mentioned there was Next Esports. So they're down a few riders this week, and one of their main guys, Rich Barry. So he's competing in the CX, the cyclocross Worlds that's been held in Dublin, Ireland this weekend. So he's off representing his club at that. So he'll be a big miss for Next tonight. But like you say, I think they're already well qualified for the final. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to watching. I've been not you guys, but I'm keeping up with the World Cup series of the cyclocross over on GCN. I like to think we're getting there as the esports equivalent to GCN. I don't know what you two think, but yeah, indeed. I think we've got Electric Spirit, got a full 5. So have Racing Without Borders. BL13 I've also seen 5 riders in. Fodra, I think also, just so you can look over at Zwift Power, they've got a full 5, and it's just Next here with the 2 riders. And again, once again, we're seeing a couple of the riders head off the front, and it will be BL13 heading off the front there. And I can see closely followed, it's Andy Nichols. In fact, Andy Nichols, BL13, pushing the pace. Tim Humpton there. I have to say he's one of my teammates, because I've been racing ZRL with Electric Spirit with Tim and his teammates this year. Getting a taste of the high life with these A riders, which has been pretty challenging at times, particularly on the team time trial, I have to say. Trying to keep up with a wattage cottage, to coin a phrase from another commentator there.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do here is if they get a gap on the pavement and then really drive it going up that dirt, then there's a real kind of opportunity here to make a really good split.
I think it's a really good point, because the 3 riders off the front here, one rider from FRT, Tim Humpton from Electric Spirit, and Andy Nichols, all on the Tron bike here, making the most of it. But it won't be long now until they're back on the dirt. And again, we'll see. In fact, as we say that, we're straight back onto the dirt and see if the tables are turned here. So although it is 50-50, the finish line, of course, is on that tarmac. So if they do stay together, then the guys on the gravel bikes are going to have their work cut out.
Yeah, here's one of my guys coming up now through as well, Ro Keeling. Rides for Lucan CRC. He's from County Kildare in Ireland. So yeah, he's real good climber, this guy, as well. Doesn't really suit him too well this, but he'll give it everything for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's one of the riders there, just on the front, just closing that gap to these front 2 riders. Tim Humpton still hanging out the front there, but it's still pretty much together. So a little bit different from the normal underground course this, because normally in the underground courses, of course, we've had some kickers, we've had some hills to play with. And I think every week we have seen a break, Kevin, go at some point. So what do you think? Are we going to see a break tonight, or are we going to hang out ready for that final sprint?
No, I don't think people want to wait for a sprint, because it comes down to being too risky for those teams looking for the points to sneak through. So I think bike choice sort of shows what the teams are thinking. So those guys on discs, I think, are going to be looking for breaks on the tarmac, and vice versa for the gravel choices. So I think there definitely will be a break, and I think it'll probably be the first couple of laps they'll get a feeling for, which is a good part of the course to attack on. And I'd say on sort of lap 3, we're possibly going to see some people pushing for some honours and break it up a wee bit.
Yeah, and as we look at it, here's Michael Gamst again for BL13. As soon as we hit the dirt, he's there on his Canyon Grail, pushing the pace, 6.9 watts a kilo. And it'd be interesting there, Nico is one of the new riders for FRT this week, I note, is on the front and looks like he's on a Tron bike. Yeah, indeed, the 2 chasers there, Electric Spirit and FRT, both on Actually, I'll tell a lie. The FRT rider looks like he is on a road bike, but it's not a Tron.
You notice it is getting very little distance there on the him on the gravel versus the Tron. I think it maybe 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we had a look on Zwift inside, it was actually only 4 seconds in per lap, I think, between the road bike and the gravel bike. So I think really to make anything stick, you're going to need a few riders around you if you're going to attack on the gravel here.
Yeah.
For sure. But again, I'm not sure. It's only BL13 here, I think, have gone for the gravel option. So if they're going to make this stick on the dirt, they're going to need 2 or 3 of their own riders pushing off the front here. As it is, Gamps has got some company here, and I think it's Bevis, is it, from Electric Spirits? Indeed it is. So it's Ryan Bevis, Electric Spirits. And again, I think it's again the first time that we've seen Bevis in this particular series, but no slouch at 4.7 watts a kilo, 20-minute power, 12.6 watts per kilo for his 15-second sprint. So again, another one of those riders who can put a kick at the end of this race. But again, it's just 4 seconds as we get off the dirt, and this is going to be pretty difficult, I think, for Gamst. Although we know he's got a big diesel engine, it's going to be difficult to hold off this chasing riders of 24.
I think Michael's on a gravel bike by the look of that as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's on the Canyon Grail with the dual bar there. Quite distinctive. We just ride along here with Bailey on the front. Another Electric Spirit rider. This is Adam Bailey this time from Team Electric Spirit. Just drifting himself to the back. This looks like this gap is coming down.
But I wonder, are those Electric Spirit guys trying to get to the front and then kind of coming off the pace a bit, and then that sticky draft and slowing the grip down, letting the rider get away potentially?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting on the front and then easing off the power. So we got plenty of knowledgeable Zwifters in here. But having said that, the group are easing back slightly. We can see it's knocked off to 3 to the 3.5 watts a kilo. And the 2 riders in front, Bevis and Gamst, starting to move away with 6-second gap now.
And I think Michael just waited to watch the bunch to see what they were going to do. And as soon as he saw them ease up, he just decided to attack them, which is great.
Yeah, and absolutely. Gamps, absolutely. As soon as we get onto the dirt here, if these 2 are switched on, let Gamps do the work on the front here when we get onto the dirt. And then make sure we get on the road. You've got Bevis doing most of the work on the front. Just trying to keep that pace high and drive it. But again, will Michael here stick with Bevis when we get onto the dirt, or will we try to drop him? I think if he's got any sense, he will keep him with him. You don't want to push it too hard and be so low, because we have got another 3 laps to go.
And the gap's pushed up to 7 seconds there, so they're half a lap. They're taking 2 seconds at a pop at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So it says a 5-lap race this evening, 20.2 kilometers. We're already 8.4 kilometers into the race. Pretty flat, this one. This is there are a few drags on this new extension that we've got here to the Amazing. But no serious climbs yet. I think we're all waiting to see what this new world is going to have offer in Scotland. That's of course going to be used for the World Champs there.
Yeah, that. Really looking forward to seeing what that looks like. I'm hoping if Ireland's successful in the Grand Depart for the Tour, maybe in a couple of years' time, that maybe we might get some of our own virtual roads. There's some great iconic climbs throughout Ireland that would test Zwifters for sure.
Absolutely, I've been fortunate enough to ride across both north and south there, and yeah, some absolutely beautiful territory. I'm hoping one day Kevin is going to invite me down to his land and buy me a ticket as well, and I can experience some of that New Zealand roads.
Exactly. Yep. Certainly not many hills where I'm from, so she's nice and flat unless you go 40 minutes inland and then you hit the hills. So she's not overly wide, so it's nice and easy to get around.
So here we are, gents. We are now out to 12 seconds, and we're approaching the halfway point here as we ride on with Ryan Bevis from Electric Spirit. As Gamps just rolls through to the front there, 6.3 watts a kilo currently. Again, I think he's got to make sure that Ryan has enough in the tank to stick with him. We do just see a gap opening here. but very short we'll be back onto the road. And Kevin, I think he's going to need Ryan, right?
Exactly, and Ryan's got an FTP of that 320s, and you can see the difference between the gravel and the Tron. Ryan's having to put out a lot more watts to actually stay with Michael, but I'm sure that the Tron, as soon as we get back onto that tarmac, is going to change and he'll be able to get back on the wheel, but it definitely will require the two of them, I'd say, if they do want to stay away.
Yeah, so we're what, 10k into the race, 15 minutes into the race, so approximately another 15 minutes to go. 15-second gap, Richie, is that going to be enough, or are we going to need to keep dragging this out as we start to see some orange numbers appear on the screen on the right-hand side, and it's the RWB pushing the pace?
Yeah, I see Nathan Mullen pushing 8.3, 8.9 watts per kilo there, so County Down man, so up the north here of Ireland. Very unlucky in our own kind of winter league there recently. He was a runner-up to one of our other guys here back in the pack as well, James Latimer. Fun fact about James, so his parents are originally from Northern Ireland, but they've been living in this Austrian Alps since about 2008, I think he told me, and he lives very close to the leg snapper. So there you go.
Fantastic, nice bit of insight there, Richie. And I think if I remember rightly, your Racing Without Borders Winter League was also used as part of the Irish qualification process for the Worlds as well, right?
Yeah, so our last race was a part of a 3-part criteria for the consideration for representing Ireland at the Worlds. The results of that are yet to be finalised. That was really kind of which is really good, the fact that Cycling Ireland, the federation within Ireland, kind of trusted Racing Without Borders kind of to host not only their winter virtual league, but then also, like you say, the consideration race there for the World Championships.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to get involved in the Racing Without Borders League next time around, I think you'll be on the new year until we start to see the next league, if I remember rightly, Richie.
Yeah, we've got some things in planning at the moment, some things just to iron out. But yeah, we've got some hopefully exciting news to come early January, taking us through kind of the rest of the official Zwift season. But yeah, we'll have some exciting news in the new year. So keep your eyes peeled across our social channels.
Yeah, so go and check out the Racing Without Borders social channels. I know you've got a website as well. I've been on it a time or two myself, and there's plenty of information on the riders and the leagues that you'll find over there. But this gap is it has come down. We're down to 3 seconds. Gamp's just trying to hang out there still at 5.5 watts a kilo. But it's the FRT and the RWB esports riders closing this gap currently. Are we going to see a move rolling over the top, Kevin? Or are these guys going to sit in and wait?
Yeah, well, RWB's doing a great job of covering the front of that pack, so I think that certainly helped close up a lot of those gaps. And anytime someone is pushing some high numbers, it's closed down pretty quick. So I would say a lot of the teams are quite nervous, but as we've seen before, it only takes a fraction of a second for the group to sort of ease and want someone else to go to the front and put their face into the wind. So I'm sure we're still going to see a gap, and it's just a matter of time before a couple of riders go off and then 3 or 4 bridge across. And I think looking at the numbers, we've seen when the guys are pushing up to 8 to 12, and I think it's probably just been probably about 2 minutes ago is where we'll see them attack, I'd say, on the next lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just spotted Thomas Berry in this pack as well. So if it does come down to a sprint, not one of the riders that you want to be having in that group for that final gallop to the line. Thomas Berry, one of those riders, and he's had some wins this season in this league and plenty of other leagues as well. Thomas Berry, another one of those riders. I think he's like 15.5 watt a kilo sprint there. So if you want to shake anyone, he's a man to shake. We're seeing another move off the front, and again, it is Andy Nichols, the man who was active very, very early. Another World Esports UCI qualifier. So Andy will be there in February for those finals. Congratulations, Andy Nichols.
Fire socks on for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had this discussion before, but it's certainly not something I think I would be racing with at this point. Particularly if you want to be making any early moves.
Yeah,
everyone's going to know what you're doing, right?
It is good seeing it used with a ghost power up. I do like that.
Absolutely. So BL13 pushing the pace, extending this gap out to 5 seconds. And it is one of your riders there, I think, Richie, that's closing that gap.
Roke Healing again. He was quite active in the first attack that went. He tried to close that across, so it looks like he's going to make contact here very soon. So yeah, that's good to see if we can keep this, because like you said, there's 7 kilometers left now. So that last gap lasted a few kilometers, so you never know. This could be the one that sticks.
Yeah, Rowe is certainly
so
keen to get in a break there, I think.
For sure.
And Electric Spirit trying to close that down and trying to get everyone to work, but I don't think many people are going to help.
No, and I think you're right. This is the fight. I think this is the fight that we're watching tonight, is the fight between Electric Spirit and Racing Without Borders, because again, they do both have a chance to make it to the group. So far at the top of this group, we've got FRT, we've got Next, powered by Ensured, and BL13, powered by Level Velo. At the top of the league, like I say, it's Electric Spirit and RWB there pushing the pace.
Yeah, Rowe's got a big 20 minutes, like a 5.19 watts per kilo, so it's big engine there.
Yeah, absolutely. 73 kilograms, 5.2 watts a kilo. Still no slouch on the sprint either at 12 watts a kilo. I have to say, these sprinters seem to be getting stronger and stronger. You know, it's like the normal now to have 14, 15 watts a kilo in these A and A plus races. But even the Bs, you look at some of the sprinters in the B category now in ZRL, they're doing similar figures. I used to think I was reasonably strong at 12 watts a kilo, but I don't get a look in these days.
He's a nice light fella from Fodra RT here. He's only 21 years old as well, so a real lightweight between 50 and 60. So
that's it, one of the French under 23s, 5.5 watts a kilo, 20-minute power. So again, a good rider to have in this front 3, should I say, and this gap again, 10 to 11 seconds. This is a good size, and I think it's a good mix of riders as well. The only concern I would have here is, again, Electric Spirit pushing the pace on the front, which we can see, because it is, who have we got on the front there from Electric Spirit? Tim Humpton, again, a big engine, big 20-minute power there on the front, pushing the pace, trying to close this gap down, but holding at 11 seconds currently. And we're very shortly going to be approaching the final lap of this race, one lap being just over 4 kilometers on this particular course. And we are approaching kilometer 15, so a lap and a half to go. Even with my maths, I could work that one out. So we're riding here with the FRT rider, 182 beats per minute. Let's have a look at Rowe. See how he's holding up there, 177 beats per minute. Nice slow RPM, 70 RPM. That's something we see quite a bit, Richie, with these top riders. And again, Next famous, we've got a couple of riders there who work at sort of 50, even lower RPM. But yeah, Rowe, 460 watts, 175 beats per minute, and a steady 70 RPM.
Yeah, Nichols trying to push away again on this pavement section, just trying to gap. But I think maybe just to get maybe Clue and him moving on a bit. But I think that these 3 guys need to work together here now if they want to stay away. Although it has increased out by another 2 seconds, so they are putting time under the pack.
Absolutely.
I see Ryan from Electric Spirit here has lifted the pace, pushing the 6s now. So he's obviously seen the danger, or being told by the team that they've got to close this down.
And look who's sat on his wheel. It's a Racing Without Borders rider sat on his wheel, making sure that he's going with that move should they make the catch.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that's what we'll do. So now that the gap's sort of established a bit, I think the RWB guys will just let Electric Spirit trying to bring this back and just surf the wheels with those guys. And I think if it comes to a bit of a sprint, I think one of our favourite sprinters and the guys here would be Nathan Mullen, as I mentioned before, from County Down, Dromora CC Racing Club. Yeah, so he's got a really good kick on him at just under 14 watts per kilo.
Yeah, and the guys are inside, and this gap is coming down. We're down to 11 seconds, and we're getting closer and closer now to the final lap as we just go past the pens here. So we're almost into the final lap. With this gap coming down, 9 seconds now, and it is the riders from Electric Spirit on the front being closely tracked by the Racing Without Borders. It's probably going to play into the hands there, and we're into the final lap. It's probably going to play into the hands there that Next don't have a full squad, because Next don't like any group to go away unless they've got at least 2 riders in there. FRT, one of the stronger teams that we have here and we've had throughout the whole series. Again, they've got a rider up here, so they're not going to chase. It is all going to be in the hands of Electric Spirit here to do the work and close this gap. And again, this gap just starting to go out again, chaps, at 10 seconds. 4 kilometers to go.
Yeah, I'm watching some of the chat, the RWB folk, and they're saying keep pushing on the front, push the gap back out again. So I think that's what's been done there. They seen that it was starting to encroach under the 10 seconds, and the 3 guys have just started putting the work on again here. So I think this might stick unless if the guys in Electric Spirit really have a big push on once we hit the pavement again. But it's looking good for these 3 guys at the moment.
Yeah, Kevin, this has got to be all in now for these 3. They've got to put everything on the line, right, for this final 3 kilometers, and do not let these guys come back at them.
Oh, exactly. We've seen it before where we've said, yeah, they've got away, and then they've been closed down in the last 100 meters of the course and caught by the bunch. So, yeah, we've seen the bunch sit at 6s and 7s and just mow them down. So they really need to just go all out here and go for that win, basically.
Yeah, interesting though, this gap is coming down and it is Electric Spirit. I did see that Marcus Duval, also from Next, was working on the front there with Electric Spirit. So they do have partners in crime here to try and close this gap. And again, it is about the team here. But again, Next, I'm sure, will want to win this race overall to absolutely assure their place. And this gap is coming down 7 seconds. This is going to be close, gentlemen, with around about 2.5 kilometers to go here.
Nichols kicking on.
Yeah, we see these front riders. Andy Nichols, 8.5 watts a kilo. Rowe also pushing the pace there. So these guys have spotted the danger. And again, they're going to try and drag this gap back out. They need to get back out to about 10 seconds as we get into that final kilometre. And it is currently down to 5. And it's Gamst on the front there for BL13. Surprisingly, either trying to make the jump and get across. In fact, let's get across to Michael and just see what the plan is here. I'm not too sure about this tactic myself. I think I would have let Andy Nichols just push on the front because this is just another target here for the group to chase. But he has opened this gap up. 3 seconds to the group, Kevin.
It's a really interesting move, isn't it, when you've got one up the front? But he has gone straight past, so
indeed,
he's
straight over the top.
Really good. And now it puts 2 of them into that front together, so it could be a good, well-planned move.
Yeah, we're coming up to 2 kilometers to go. Remember this course, 20.2 kilometers. And we've got 2 up front here. Andy Nichols and Michael Gamst with a 3-second gap to the FRT rider and 6 seconds back to Marcus Duval sat in the front of the peloton. 5.5 watts a kilo closing this down. I don't know, gentlemen. I think this is going to come back together for a finishing gallop. And my money is going to be on Thomas Berry for the victory. Kevin, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, he's got a very good sprint finish, hasn't he? So, yeah, I wouldn't say you'd be far off on that, unless we do get someone going early and people waiting too long. So I'm suggesting someone's going to have to go at the 1K mark if they do want to go long, looking at other races that have been on this course.
Yeah, this gap is going out, gentlemen. We are on to the final section of road. You're going to start to see the pens approaching the distance on the left-hand side. And then it's just a couple of 100 meters to that finish banner. And is Andy Nichols, Michael Gamst on front with an 8-second gap. I don't know. I might have just going to change my mind. And I think one of these 2 are going to take the victory.
I think it's going to be BL13 1-2.
Absolutely. 10-second gap here. We've got some love in the chat for Michael Gamst.
Yep, they're going to have to punch her really badly, I think, to lose from here.
Absolutely. This is a safe 1-2, I think, now, as we're approaching the final 800 meters towards the finish line. Is Andy Nichols and Michael Gamst from BL13. They're going to take the victory here, but we can see Racing Without Borders on the front of the group there. There's plenty of points to fight for here. So as soon as we see these 2 cross the finish line, we are going to jump back to the main group and we'll take a look at what's going to happen as we approach to the final sprint for the peloton from 3rd down. 23 riders racing this evening. The gap is coming back to 11 seconds. They've got them in sight, but it is too little too late.
Yeah, Electric Spirit pushing hard here to try and get the podium spot.
Yeah, and that's Jacob Anderson on the wheel there. So he's a guy from the UK, from South Shields, northeast of England. So yeah, he rides for Protec Velo on the road. But yeah, good talent there as well. And here we go.
Here we go. 3 Racing Without Borders riders. And Marcus Duval from next. This is going to be close, but are we going to see three from BL13?
Brilliant.
Wow.
Thomas Berry comes through for the goods.
Well, I did say he was the man for the sprint. What an amazing ride there from BL13. Having Andy Nichols, Michael Gamst up the road, and Thomas Berry there for the finish. Right, gentlemen, let's get you on camera. And let's try and take that in. Bear with me. We'll try and get the camera back on. There we are. Kevin's just going to get himself a drink. Are you back?
Yep.
All right. So hopefully, let's try and get these results finalised. As we all know, it can take a little while here for the results to come through on Zwift Power. What a race, gentlemen. There was a chance there that those two were going to get caught in the final 500 metres.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if a couple of the teams did work together, but obviously with Next having just the 2 riders, they would have been the team that would have closed that down pretty quickly, knowing that they can't leave that sort of a gap leading into the last 2Ks.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you bear with me, we are going to try and take a look at these results if we can. What we will do is we'll take a quick look at the team standings as they stand currently.
I think I'm quite confident in my boys here. Going off if I quickly look in the live section as well, then seeing 2 RWB guys in front of Electric Spirit, and then another 2 right behind Electric Spirit. So I'm feeling confident that we may have got this and made the final.
So this is how it was looking. Hopefully you guys can see this, but it is FRT up until this evening who have been leading on 315 points. Next Power by Insured was sitting in second with 278. BL13, 250. I think those 3 teams were reasonably safe for their passage through to the grand final next Friday. And then we saw Electric Spirit 173 versus Racing Without Borders Esports on 164. Dutch Racing not present this evening. Same with Skylab. Right, let's see if we can jump across and we can get some results on the board. I think you're looking at the live data possibly.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's take a look at these live results. So indeed, Andy Nichols, BL13, Michael Gamst and Thomas Berry rounding out the top 3 there. 29 minutes of racing, an average watt a kilo there for Gamst and Nichols of 4.8 and 4.9 watts a kilo respectively. That is absolutely fantastic. And it was Marcus Duval there from Next Power by Insured taking 4th. Nathan Mullen, Racing Without Borders. Jacob Anderson, 7th, Racing Without Borders. And I think you've got another rider, Luke Elton, also there in the top 10. So indeed, 3 riders from Racing Without Borders there in the top 10. And 11th with James Latimer, with Electric Spirit, with Frederick taking 8th. This is going to be tight, but I do think Racing Without Borders will be in that 4th spot. Fantastic racing this evening there. So far, yes, we've got 3 riders in the top 15, or 2 riders in the top 15, should I say, from Electric Spirit. FRT, surprisingly, not involved in, well, having 1 rider only in the top 10. Because those riders, as we saw earlier, have been pretty much dominant along with Next in the other races so far. Gentlemen, there we go. We get you guys back on screen. Thank you for joining me this evening. I hope that we can persuade you to come back for the grand final next week. What is your plan this weekend, gentlemen? Plenty of racing on within your home countries, Richie?
Yeah, well, I suppose that the last thing for us is this season, or I suppose this year, is going to be the final round of ZRL. So, yeah, but we've a few teams there, and so yeah, I would say that'll be our primary focus, and then we've a few kind of group charity rides and things before Christmas, and then like I say, we're on the planning for a new league in the new year. So yeah, that's undergoing at the moment. So really looking forward to seeing what next year is going to bring, and new roads to explore come February and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be. But really looking forward to this final. I think I'm hoping now that once those results are finalised, the guys got that fourth spot, made the final, and yeah, I can cheer them on even further because the guys have been amazing. I mentioned we have a few teams in ZRL, so we kind of started a couple of years ago as a small enough club, starting at D like most clubs, and then went CB. The last couple of seasons in ZRL have been holding their own, and the C1 dubs and the B1 dubs, but kind of in the last year we've really brought these A guys through, and kind of one of the things that famous Conor McGregor says, we're not here to take part, we're hopefully here to take over and kind of get noticed. And unfortunately we've kind of maybe missed out on some of the Irish guys, we just haven't had the same pull with the likes of Wahoo and Next. But I think we're making enough noise now that we're respected as a racing team at that elite level, and hopefully see some of these guys in future world esports racing and UCIE events and things. So yeah, really looking forward to what's going to be.
Yeah, you guys have got a great setup there, and I've raced with you guys as well because I love what you guys are doing over at Racing Without Borders. So yeah, really great to see the events and the community that you guys have got over there. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you in that final. Of course, you mentioned ZRL. The final ZRL is going to be on that Richmond Cobble Climb circuit. So if you've not seen it already, you may know that I do some recon rides. Go and check that out as well. But the final race, Kevin, we've done it before. I'm not sure if you can remember I think it was last series or series 1 of the Underground. We've been here before. It is Railways and Rooftops. And I think it was one of your riders who had that long break from the start. Aaron Bleeker, if I remember rightly, Kevin.
Yeah, 3 of them decided stupidly to go off the front right at the start. And we sort of thought there's no way this is going to hold. And it did hold, so which was very surprising. The group was pretty close. I think they were probably only 1 or 2 seconds off actually catching them. So it is a great course. I don't think they'll get away at something like that based on people doing research and seeing what worked last time. And obviously there's been a few races in between now, and when they last raced it with a few different tactics and new riders, especially with the strength of the teams that are there now, which is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get away with it once. I don't know if you get away with it twice. But that climb is surprisingly tough, especially when you can push out the numbers that these guys can for anything between 1 and 3 minutes. So anything can happen, but I don't expect to see it from the gun this time. But I do. But this series has been famous for the breaks and the ambitious attacks that we've seen, as we've seen tonight as well with BL13 and the way they lit the race up there on the final 2 laps.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we saw it on the leg snapper where there was a 6 or 7 second gap and we thought it was all over, but the sprinters decided to drop 13 to 15 watts per kg and catch the front. So yeah, you're never going to know what's going to happen in a race. It just depends who's feeling good, really.
No, that's it. So again, we hope to see you next week. I see Daz Carter for BL13 is also on the chat. So well done, Daz, and your team. I think you were DSing tonight, so I think you're going to claim that victory down to your tactical decisions on the fly, I hope. But yeah, don't forget to join us next week, Railways and Rooftops, for the grand final of the 2022 Underground Series. So there is plenty to play for, the pride of the Underground, of course, but also there are some jerseys up for grabs for the overall winners. And that is a one race takes all. It is all about the team victory there. So it's no use getting one rider over the line for victory and having no other riders around you. You're going to need to block riders in that top 10 to take that victory. And the competition is going to be high amongst all of these teams, whether you're BL13, FRT, hopefully Racing Without Borders will be there as well. But of course, don't forget, we've got Group 2. And we've got Fusion, we've got the Swedish Outbreakers in that group as well. And we will share the results over on levelvelo.cc. Just head to the community pages over there and you'll find some links to the Underground Series. And again, have a great weekend, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us for the Underground Series. And we'll see you next Friday, the 16th at 6:30 back here for the Underground Racing Series.